One of Apple's most seldom updated product lines happens to be one of my favorites, the iPad mini. Since its inception in 2012, it's only been updated 5 times, but its most recent revision, the 6th generation, released in 2021, is one of the best in quite a while. I've had mine for about a year now, and it's still the latest model. So today, let's take a look at whether it's worth picking up in 2023. Starting off with the obvious, one of the more major changes is the boost in screen size that comes from having an edge-to-edge display. The new display is larger at 8.3 inches instead of 7.9, but that's about it. It's still 60 Hz, it's still LCD, no 120 Hz or OLED here. It still supports the DCI P3 color space, and it can still only reach a brightness of 500 nits. The digitizer has been updated to support the 2nd generation Apple Pencil, but I'm no artist, and I haven't really found anything else in iPadOS that meaningfully benefits from the stylus. The chassis has been redesigned to match Apple's more angular design language that they first introduced with the iPhone 4, then reintroduced with the iPhone 12, and personally I prefer this design. The fingerprint reader has been moved to the side, which I prefer over Face ID, and I wish the iPhone would adopt a similar setup. Also, the Mini finally trades in its Lightning connector for USB-C. It's about 5 years later than I would have liked, but better late than never. Internally, it gets a spec bump to 2021's latest and greatest A15 Bionic SoC and 4 GB of RAM. More than 4 would have been nice, especially for future-proofing, and background apps sometimes get dumped from memory more often than I'd prefer, but it's not terrible. But how is it to actually use? I'm not a student anymore, I'm not an artist, and I'm certainly not going to start editing my YouTube videos on an 8-inch screen, even though it's possible. So what do I even use a miniature iPad for? Well, basically everything. Everything that I don't need the power of my desktop for, and pretty much everything that I used to use my laptop for. Whether it's watching some YouTube on the couch, following a recipe, or referencing a service manual out in the garage. Anything that benefits from a screen larger than my iPhone 13 mini, but doesn't need the power of my Mac Pro, happens on the iPad mini. However, it's not perfect. Some tasks that would seem to be perfectly suited for the iPad mini, like tuning my car for example, use a program that isn't available for iOS. Similarly, if I'm in a meeting and I need to take notes, I'm still going to use my laptop because the iPad mini isn't really big enough to attach a keyboard to. These cases don't come up too terribly often though, but they do happen enough that I can't ditch my laptop completely, no matter how much I may want to. Microtransactions have pretty much ruined mobile gaming for me, especially after getting my Steam Deck, but if they're your thing, then this iPad mini works a treat for gaming, especially when paired with a Bluetooth controller like my DualSense here. Something else that'll help you get your game on is the speakers. They are shockingly good, and with the exception of newer, larger iPads, they're probably the best speakers in any tablet I've heard. Video calls are more convenient than ever, thanks to Center Stage, Apple's new machine learning-based tracking system that follows you around when you're on a call. It sounds gimmicky, but it's actually pretty impressive, and it does make taking video calls just that little bit more convenient. When you pair all of these generational quality of life improvements with the excellent battery life of this iPad, it really combines into an extremely refined and compelling package. The svelte size makes it easy to stow in my backpack or a briefcase, and while there are a few advantages of having a larger iPad, like a better screen or more RAM, anything that I'd want to do on an iPad is not hindered by this smaller form factor. If there is something that I'd want a larger screen for, like watching a movie or editing a video, the larger 11-inch and 12.9-inch iPads aren't going to be big enough either. Chances are I want a desktop or a television. And that's why the iPad mini is so compelling to me. It's that Goldilocks just right device for doing tasks beyond what I want to do on my smartphone, but not so far beyond that I want to sit at a desk. But what do you guys think? Is the iPad mini too small for you? Let me know in the comments down below, and as always, thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked the video, hit like, get subscribed, and ring the bell so you get notified when I post new videos, and I will see you guys in the next one.